Okay, in this class we're going to look at solving trigonometric equations with coefficients in the argument. Again, we're going to follow the same steps: identify the domain, identify the quadrant and the reference angle, and roughly sketch and deduce. Okay, so we're asked to solve something like this. Sine of 3x is equal to negative 1/2, where x belongs to domain from 0 to 360 degrees. So thinking about the domain, first of all, the domain for x is given. It belongs to the interval from 0 to 360, 0 and 360 included. But the argument of this equation, the argument of this function, is 3x. So we actually have to think about the domain for 3x. Well, 3x is triple x, so we're going to triple everything. Tripling 0 is 0. Tripling 360, that's 1080 degrees. So that's the domain for this. That's the domain for this particular problem. 3x belongs to 0 to 1080. The domain, again, we're ultimately trying to find x, so my answers for x have to be between 0 and 360 degrees. But 3x is the argument of this function, so first I have to think about the domain for 3x, and then we come back to the domain for x at the end. The next thing I want to do is I want to think about the quadrant. Okay, so we have sine of 3x, and it's negative 1/2. So sine of 3x is negative if and only if 3x, not x, belongs to, well, where will 3x belong to? We have our memory tool here. Sine is positive in the first and second quadrants, so it's negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So we're dealing here with quadrants 3 and 4. Okay, so that's where sine is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, work down the page here. The next thing I want to do is, and again, just go up to your list of instructions. I want to identify the quadrant and the reference angle. So I want to identify the reference angle. So what are we given? Well, we're given that sine of 3x is negative 1/2. So we can work out what the sine of the reference angle has to be. Well, the reference angle, the sine of the reference angle is always the absolute value of the sine of the angle. So it's the absolute value of negative 1/2. It's a half. If you know your special angles, which you should figure out here that OR has to be 30 degrees. If you don't, well, then you can type into your calculator sine inverse of 1/2, and that will tell you the reference angle is 30 degrees. But really, you want to know that at this stage. The last part here is just to sketch it out and deduce. So what are we talking about? We're talking about, first of all, 3x goes from 0 to 1080. That's 3 full circles. So we're going to go around through 3 full circles and see what we get. The other thing, we're dealing with quadrants 3 and 4. The other thing, we have a reference angle of 30 degrees. These are the 3 key pieces of information. My domain here, 3x belongs to 0 to 1080. Somewhere in between there, we find 3x. We're dealing with quadrants 3 and 4. We have reference angles of 30 degrees. If we know those things, we should be able to solve it. So I'm going to sketch this out. Sketch and solve. I'm dealing with quadrants 3 and 4. Those are the quadrants I'm dealing with, and the reference angle is 30 degrees. A reference angle in quadrant 3 would be over here. The reference angle in quadrant 4, something like that. These are not drawn to scale. That's 30 degrees. That's 30 degrees. And what are we going to do? Well, what we're going to do is look at our domain and see what's going to happen. We're looking for 3x. Okay? And we're talking about going from 0 to 1080 for 3x. So if I go around here, remember this is what x is, just going around here, or this is 3x I should say, 3x going around here could be there. Now what's there? Well, that's 180 plus 30, so 3x could equal to 180 plus 30, which is 210 degrees. But I'm going to go around through a second full circle because I'm going from 0 to 1080, which is 3 full circles. And there I'm hitting that angle again. Now see what that is. So go follow that around. That's 360, and then 450 to there, and then 540, and then another 30. So it's going to be 570. But that's not it. Again, we can go around through 3 full circles. And why 3 full circles? Well, because our domain goes from 0 to 1080. 1080 is 3 full 360s. Or, you know, going around through another. So again, just thinking about this, starting here, rotating around, there's 1 full circle. Going around again, all the way around. There's 2 full circles, 75 degrees. Up here, sorry, 720 degrees. Up there, 810. Down to here, 900. And then another 30. We're going to have 930 degrees. That's in quadrant 3. So there are my answers from quadrant 3. If I look over here at my answers for quadrant 4, again, I can go around there. I hit it once, twice, 3 times on my way around through 3 full circles. So my first value for x will be there. Let me change the color there. And then there, and then there. I should say my first value for 3x. We're solving for 3x here. So the first time I hit the terminal side here, the terminal side, reference angle 30 degrees, quadrant 4. Well, that's 30 degrees short of 360, so that would be 330 degrees. But then I go all the way around again. I'm 30 degrees short of 720, which would be 690 degrees. And then all the way around again, I'm 30 degrees short of 1080 degrees, which would be 1050 degrees. So I'm going to look at all my values for 3x. You know, you could list them out here in a big set if I wanted to. So 3x, and I might put them in ascending order. I don't have to, of course, it's a set. Order is not important in a set. But 3x could be 210, or 330, or 570, or 690, or 930, or 1050. But remember, those are my solutions for 3x. We actually haven't finished yet, because when it says solve the equation, we're trying to find values for x. So to find values for x, what do? Well, we just divide everything by 3. So 210 divided by 3, that's 70. 330 divided by 3, that's 110. And we can keep going. Now 570 divided by 3, that's 190 degrees, I think. 690 divided by 3, 230 degrees. 930 divided by 3, that's 310 degrees. And 1050 divided by 3, that's going to be 350 degrees, I think. And there's my answer. So how do I check each of those? Notice there's six solutions in this case. 6 solutions in this case to this equation. How do I check them? Well, I plug them back in. Well, first, I suppose, check the domain. Are all your answers between 0 and 360? Well, yes, they are. Every single one of them is between 0 and 360. Do they satisfy this equation? a sine of 3x equals negative a half. Well, plug each one in. Type into your calculator sine of 370. It's sine of, I should say, 3 times 70 degrees. Be careful how you put that into your calculator. Okay? And check, 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 check. Repeat all your checks, and you'll see that those are all your answers. Okay? Okay, so practice that, and I'll look at a couple of more examples in my next video.